That flash is kind of bright. Alright, hey everybody, it's Matt with Midnight Farms. I said I was going to put up a video tonight and finally charged the battery, and then I ran out of memory on the phone, and so finally I'm getting it going. Just be real quick, kind of walk around some of the plants I've got, flowers I've got, vegetable fruit plants that I've got, and just so it's easier to see their color, their shape, their size, that kind of stuff. It's kind of hard to always convey that stuff in a picture. The lighting may be wrong. Lots of different things can go wrong. But before I actually walk in there, I'm going to show you. I talk about storing rainwater a lot, and I do. And that's yes, those are a lot of 2-liter Mellow Yellow bottles, and a couple other sodas thrown in there too. Mike has started drinking Mellow Yellows, my dad, and so between me and him and other family members, Anthony and his family, we get a lot of Mellow Yellow bottles. I like them because you don't end up with algae or anything growing on the inside of them. It blocks the wavelength of light that algae needs to grow. So green bottles are really good with that. You get a clear bottle, you don't use it right away, sometimes you'll end up with algae growing in it. All right, let me move the phone a little bit. And I know I'm shooting this vertical, but you'll live. All right. So this is the garage that was like an extra guest room. In the back half over there was a shop. Anthony converted it into a garage so Mike have a place to pull a car into to work on if you need to, or the mower or anything else. So start out right here. We'll actually start out with some of the flowers. I'll show you what I've got planted later. The color really is coming across good on my phone. I hope it comes across that well when it actually gets uploaded. This is the Main Street Coleus. I love Coleus. I consider myself the king, Camden's king of Coleus. For y'all that don't know, I'm in Camden, Tennessee. But this is Main Street Coleus. It's got kind of an almost purpley kind of color to it. It's a really deep red, but it almost looks purple. And then of course the serrated tips, like a lot of Coleus has, and the green or almost yellow edges on them. But those are some Main Street Coleus. I've got a lot more. These are Dusty Millers. They're you can tell a Dusty Miller just because of the snowy white look on the leaves. The first set of leaves it puts out are usually almost always green. Rarely do they actually turn white. So usually when they get a little bit taller, I'll go back and I'll prune those off. But what's neat about Dusty Miller, I should have water right here because I'm a gardener, but I don't. But when the leaves get wet, they turn green. They go back to this color. And they almost kind of have a furry, almost like a felt kind of feel to the leaves. That's actually what happens. It causes those little hairs, when it gets wet, it causes little hairs to lay down. And the initial leaves, they don't put out nearly as many hairs on the leaves, so you never really see the white to them. And that one's got a little bit of a white, but still, you don't get a lot of that. These will get, these are small styrofoam cups, and I've got them out on the patio, where they're 4 or 5 times as tall as this. They'll get pretty big, and they do take full sun. With the Coleus, you can give them full sun, but it will affect their color. And just like any other plant, or like people, these are all the same age plants, but sometimes they grow at different rates. So this one's a little bit bigger, while this one is really, really full. Not a little bit smaller, while this one's really, really full. The secret to big Coleus is pruning. I'll get into that in a later video. This is some of my burgundy Coleus. Again, here's a big one and a smaller one. But they're all the same age. I really like the burgundy ones. I sold a lot of those last year. Of course, they've got the yellow and green serrated edges on them. But yeah, they're really, really pretty. And again, I sold a lot of those last year. These are my dragonwing Coleus. You can tell by the edge of the leaf. It's a much more pronounced than on the other Coleuses. They're known by their, I wouldn't quite call it red, probably maroon that runs through the veins of the leaf. But it's mostly, the reddish maroon and a yellowish green color. These are the same plant, whereas this one is showing, more of the green in the leaf and the red veins. The neat thing about the dragon's wing is they're almost always, completely solid maroon on the back. And this is another one here. But yeah, like I said, I love coleus, so I've always got them growing everywhere. This is a Hawaiian tea plant. Tea is in T-I, not T-E-A or T-E-E. T-I. It comes out with really green leaves, really pretty green, but then you get, hints of pink and red throughout the leaf. The more sun it gets, the more color it'll get. And I've got it in the garage right now only because, ignore that tag, I get pots from everywhere. This is not a Walmart plant. But because of it being a taller plant, we had a lot of wind the other night, and I didn't want to take the chance, it was going to get damaged. That's the reason I brought the beefsteak tomato plants into the garage instead of leaving them out on the patio. They're all staked, but that doesn't stop it from turning the whole thing over if the wind gets hard enough. So I brought them in. I've got more. That's just what I have in here right now. Of course, all these are my starter pots. This is lavender, so these 2 rows are all lavender. Many, very densely planted lavender at that. So, this will, if anybody wants to buy any lavender, I'll definitely have plenty. Of course, some of this stuff is for my own use, but most of this stuff I sell. This is, from here back to the cups, this is all yellow crookneck squash. This is a 4-cell container. Some people like buying them in larger quantities. It's easier since a squash is a bigger plant just to put them in these, and I like to start them in the cups too, separately. Over here, these 2 rows go all the way back. Those are celosia. Most people know them as coxcomb. I get them mixed up sometimes. I'll misspeak. I'll say celosia instead of coleus, or coleus instead of celosia, because those are definitely my 2 favorites. Coleus probably being my favorite. But I don't have the colors written on them yet because one of the downsides of celosia is you don't always get the same color because of cross-pollination and other things. You don't get the same color that you started out with, maybe on the mother plant or the plant that you harvested seed from. Again, this is just what I've got in the garage. I've got lots more in the house. Well, you can probably read it there. Morning Glory Red. These 2 rows going all the way back to those 2 are Morning Glories, red Morning Glories. And then Moonflower all along this side. Of course, those are the big white Morning Glories. A lot of people don't realize that those are Morning Glories too. The difference is they open, later in the afternoon, evening, and they're always white flowers, and they're a lot bigger. Their flowers are, I wouldn't say dinner plate size, but saucer sized. They're really pretty. They've got a really kind of a sweet aroma to them when they start blooming. But they complement each other really well because you can have them planted in the same spot, and basically from the time you get up till the time you turn the lights out, you're gonna have flowers out, and it's really cool. I haven't done red Morning Glories before. I always usually do just the white Moonflowers and the purple Grandpa Otts. That's an heirloom variety, and but Mike actually had some red ones growing out here last year, and so I, grabbed some seeds when it went to seed and hung on to them. All of these, of course, these are 6-cell containers. This is all spineless okra. I've got black okra. I've got a couple of different varieties of okra, but that's what I've got out here right now. So there's 6, 9, so 54 okra plants. These are all bell peppers. I've got them labeled green, but of course, as long as the longer you leave them on the plant, the colors will change. You can get them yellow, you can get them red. It just depends on how long you leave them on. those are, because you can probably read there too, sunflowers, the American